So I just did a video about flash, and I've realised maybe I should tell you my settings for weddings, because this might help you. So I mentioned in the last video about 1600 ISO. When I'm teaching people photography, I tend to go with 1600 ISO, but this might help you if you're maybe not using the 5D. You're at 1600 ISO with the 5D, the files are absolutely fine. If you're using older cameras, you might use a 350D. You know, if you're buying these, you get a 350D for about 80 quid now. Absolutely great cameras. 350s, 400, 450Ds. So one thing with the smaller sensor APC cameras is obviously people are terrified of the noise. I suggest that maybe 1600 ISO, they're fine as well. I've got no problem with 1600 ISO. At 800 ISO tends to be with the older style cameras where everyone feels comfortable. They look at their files and they think, you know, I don't really want to go above that. So let's just have a look at the settings on this flash. So I've got this set up at an 1/8 power. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure the output of this flash gun, guide number 58, but I'm going to bounce it from a ceiling. So the ceiling here is about 2 meters away from the flash gun. Let's measure it. It's probably more like 1.5 meters away from the flash gun. So imagine this flash is on top of your camera, so I'm positioning it on top of the camera. If you look at the distance from your flash to your ceiling now, in an average room, I bet we're close to about 1/2 meter. Let's say 1/2 meter to 1 meter away. So the technique's quite simple really. I use the diffuser panel as little as I can now, because that's killing your light. And we're going to get diffusion naturally anyway. Samsung's not focusing. What's wrong with you? There you go. So we don't use that because we want bare bulb and we want the flash to go out, hit the ceiling, spread all around the room. So what we want to look at is zoom. So this flash gun will go to 18mm. Now what that means is it's just zoomed, you heard it zoom hopefully. It's just made the flash head zoom in here. And now it's going to try and put the light out at 18mm equivalent. So what it's saying is when you use an 18mm lens, that's what I'm going to be using. So this is going to try and put the flash out wide. So we're not killing power, but we're spreading it a bit more. So let's measure the light at 18mm from this top to the ceiling, and we'll bounce it down again. What we're going to do is measure it with this flash meter. But this is based on ISO 800. So if you think I'm using 1/8 power, another 8 to remember is the 800 ISO. So we're at 1/8 power, there's an 8, and 800 ISO, which means we can get 8 photos in a row, and which means that at 800 ISO you'll find no matter if you're using AP, keep getting in trouble with this, APS-C, because people keep commenting, keep getting it wrong, whatever, APS-C sensor. So in other words, the 350, 400, 700, you know, this range of cameras, 60Ds, 70Ds, 80Ds, they're all fine at ISO 800. Just use them and don't worry about noise all the time. But hopefully we should be able to get, let's switch it on. So this flash meter flashes to tell you that it's ready to receive the flashlight. So what it's going to try and do, I've put a 500th of a second in there. Don't worry too much about that, so I don't record ambient light. Because if I was to try and record it, yeah, we're all fine. So the bit that matters is we've got it flashing away. Right. Now, if I was to point it at the flash gun, we're at F9. If I point it at the ceiling, we're at F8. F8. So there's another 8 come up now. Let's have a look, bring it back. So we've done 8th power on a guide number of 58. So in theory that's the 580EX and a lot of other flash guns. We've done ISO 800 and we got F8. I love it when numbers line up like that, and that's what photography can become very simple. When numbers start to do that. A typical setting for me outside is 200 ISO, 1/200th of a second at 5.6. But we've got a lineup of an 8th power 800 at F8. Now that's what I would call a base exposure reading, reflecting your light from a ceiling, letting it come down onto a subject, and that's the equivalent of taking a flash meter reading at waist level. So this worktop, this timber worktop, it's not timber really, I don't think. So does that give you an idea? Now what I'd like you to do is go and buy yourself a flash gun now and put it on your camera, set it at 8th power, set F8 on your camera and start measuring light. It's very easy for me to show you these things. That is the typical setup for a wedding. Don't know why I'm doing that with those. Maybe that looks better. I hope that helps. Just set it up and start to think then. We're at F8. So what would happen if I move my subject further away from where the light was? So we've put this light up to the ceiling as though it's on top of my camera I'm videoing with. We've taken a light meter reading at about, well, 30 centimeters away from where the actual flash position is. So you can either set your own up, or I might do another little video and move this around. Yeah, let's do a part 4 because we're up to 10 minutes nearly now. So we'll do a part 4 or part 3. I don't know where I am. Anyway, let's do another one.